Joining us now, President of the Human Rights Campaign, Alponso David. On Friday, the HRC released a letter signed by over 100 leaders of the nation's most prominent LGBTQ and civil rights organizations, condemning racism, racial violence, and police brutality, and call for action to combat these issues. Thank you very much. The President of the Human Rights Campaign, Alponso David, joins us now. Looking over the past 3 or 4 days of the violence, there is a separation, would you agree, that needs to be made between the crimes that are being committed and the anger and the frustration that needs to be validated?
Yes, there is a difference to acknowledge here, but the starting point for us, we have lost George Floyd, we have lost Breonna Taylor, we have lost Ahmaud Marbury, we have lost Nina Pop. And we have lost countless others' names and faces because of racism and indifference. Many who we don't know because there was no camera, there was no video recorder. So I personally want to extend my condolences to all those families who have lost their sons and their daughters and their loved ones. And there is a difference between how people are expressing their rage and what happened to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Marbury. But at its core, is racism. At its core is indifference. And we need to come together as a country and come up with meaningful solutions. We are celebrating Pride Month starting today, but we have to also remember that Pride Month has its roots in the struggle, in protests. People were stricken at Stonewall. Because of police brutality, we now have the LGBTQ civil rights movement. So there is value to protest. There is value to peaceful protesting, especially when we are trying to avenge the lives that we have lost. And it is not lost on me that, you can't bring back George Floyd. You can't bring back Nina Pop. And so that's what people in the streets are talking about. They're trying to avenge their lives.
Jonathan Lemire is with us and has a question. Jonathan.
How would you view, we were talking a lot today about President Trump's lack of leadership, that he's been off stage. He's been in the White House, even briefly in the secure bunker. And we're only hearing from him on Twitter. We don't expect to hear from him today. We did see Joe Biden yesterday. He came out into Wilmington, Delaware. He spoke to protesters. He was wearing a mask. He listened to their concerns for a little while. He has another event, a similar walking and listening tour event expected today. How are you seeing? Is that the appropriate response from Joe Biden, or is there more that he could be doing as well?
Well, I think Joe Biden is acting as a leader, and I think Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump has not been representing the interests of marginalized communities for the entire term that he's been in office. He is not representing the interests of LGBTQ people. He's not representing the interests of Black people. He's not representing the interests of marginalized groups. We just have to look at his record, where he's looking at strategically rolling back civil rights for LGBTQ people, rolling back civil rights for people of color. Joe Biden, on the other hand, has been a stalwart. Joe Biden has a record of supporting LGBTQ people, has a record of supporting people of color. So yes, I think there is a huge divide between how Joe Biden is responding to this crisis and how Donald Trump is responding, or not responding, I should say, to this crisis.
All right, Alponso David, President of the Human Rights Campaign, thank you very much for being on this morning.
And Mika, earlier this morning we played a clip of my friend and, boy, just a great civil rights hero, John Lewis. John said yesterday, I say to all Americans not to give up, not to get lost in the seas of despair, but to keep the faith. And it's going to work out. We must help it in working out by doing good and being called to be true to the calls of love, peace, and nonviolence. And it is so important that as we move forward today, we look at all of the inspiring marches out there, all of the people, all of the American citizens, Black and white, Hispanic, Asian Americans of all races, who are stepping forward and trying to make a difference in their country, and they're doing it the right way. They're doing it peacefully. They're doing it with their neighbors. They're doing it with their friends. They're doing it with their children. They're doing it to protect the lives of others and some of their own family members. That is so important to remember, just like it's so important to remember that so many police officers are out there trying to protect neighborhoods, trying to protect streets, trying to protect black businesses, trying to protect black homes from wanton destruction by a small percentage of those who are out in the streets. Let's keep that in perspective and understand, like John Lewis said, it's going to work out. But it's going to work out if we do this together.
That does it for us this morning. Stephanie Rule picks up the coverage right now.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.